I was told by the spies to do a Black History review, and the best way that I know how to do that is, well, the War on David. And the War on David is derived by the legal character, David Bowles, and the legal character, as is derived by the Nazi courts from the military intelligence, was acted against before he was born, qualifying the position of this being purely ethereal, and the disposition of it being purely ethereal qualifies it to be separate from any real legitimate owners of anything or bodies or assets or what have you. This being purely a legal theory by the terrorists as the fundamentals of their motive allows us to continue under the prerequisites, understanding everything is necessary to put it in its proper order. Now, their belief that David's character and Don Sr.'s character would have had reparations from David creating a brokerage that stops the crash of '08, not knowing that it was when it was going to happen because they don't have the schedule. They just knew the eventuality that was the military intelligence, and so that's what they would have assumed, and thus they wanted to know when to do it or how to do it. So David was going to be the only solution, is their base assumption and the motive. And Don Sr., having an account with David's brokerage, would have acquired quantitative easing or economic stimulus in order to recover the economy, including but not limited to the recovery of vital things that were obstructed, known as unfunded liabilities, such as reparations for the black community, black history, black community, you understand. Now, this all starts well before David was born. This all starts before David's dad was really getting into anything. This all happened before David's dad was born. The estimate has to be understood in that context. This is long forever ago. The time of the case is way back when in buckfuck America they had to create systemic terrorist subversions and secrets and coercions and Confederate policies which are criminal, applied expo facto, which terrorism and expo facto are two major disqualifiers, and seeing as how they have no function under the rule of law and have no service to the rule of law, they are in a position where they have no legitimate immunities. Now that we've gone through these prerequisites, we can start thinking about what it is that they were actually telling David when they engaged in their spies harassment when he was an infant, based upon their position for reparations. Now, their position for reparations assumes that quantitative easing would pay for reparations at the relevant time that we know as the crash of '08 being solved. At which point, you have the blueprints of the solution, which requires the pre-investment before he's born. So, his dad is a child at some point, and the investors are starting to invest into the inevitability that the QE solution is going to happen through Tiger. Now, the assumption means all of them put their money wherever they think it was going to go anyways. Wherever they think David's going to certify, which they don't know, they have their little meetings and they come up with their strategies and they come up with the reports and the prerequisites qualifying what they're willing to send. Once they know what they're willing to send, you have the prerequisites of their planning for the investment. Now, their plans for the investment assumes the QE position, which the white nationalists and other hate groups wanted to remove. Needing to remove it, they needed to call David racist so that the end goal of QE qualifies the money from the investors going somewhere else. Having moved it, the black community is no longer viable economically, and that is my answer to Ben Shapiro's character, who constantly refers to things under the censorship and editing through malice because he already knows the real information. Whoever is playing behind him is irrelevant. The character is the thing that's primarily behind the harassment. Now, the question